Welcome to Politics Done Right. My name is Egberto Willis, your host. Good morning, Houston. Good morning, Harris County. Good morning, Texas. Good morning, the United States of America. And of course, good morning to the world. How's everybody doing? I trust you are doing fine. Well, let's make sure we're all doing fine. Why? Because we control our destiny no matter what others may believe. We have the power to do so. Well, transfer into the control room. How are my favorite geniuses doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, Egberto. I guess we're doing okay. The tin cans and string are holding up. And, good things are happening around here. I don't know what they are. I'll find out and let you know later, but I'm sure some good things are happening. And I want you to go and get you that lotto ticket for tonight's billionaire drawing.
Oh, it hit $1 billion, huh?
And what would you do with $1 billion? I think I'd give most of it away. Probably the KPOT.
Yeah, if I'll give it a lot.
In fact, we're gearing up for our fall drive. And for the folks who want to support this radio station early and shorten that drive so we don't have to sit here and beg for money, do it now. 713-526-5738, extension 1. Make your donation. Tell them it's for Politics Done Right and those buffoons down there at the radio station who run it. Now we're going to turn it over to Jack. He's got a full page of wisdom this morning, for heaven's sakes. I guess you were short on wisdom yesterday.
No, I wrote this yesterday and was going to use it, but I used something else. Okay, this is just a simple explanation of what I see going on with the Supreme Court and, government. And there's been a corporate takeover of government. The politicians are serving the corporate interest, not the people's interest. The number one thing the people must demand to be done is to balance the Supreme Court. Unstack it or pack it. I'm in favor of term limits for Supreme Court justices. Bring back Glass-Steagall and the capital gains tax. Don't let these corporate giants swim in huge pools of profit. When the rich are too wealthy, they start thinking they don't need the people anymore. Hence, all the bad legislation, demonizing the poor, the old, the woman, the immigrant, the gay. They start at the bottom and work their way up because they're bullies. They will end up eliminating the impoverished and say they eliminated poverty. Look out. It's Soylent Green 2023. Know what's in that green wafer before you eat it.
Oh, I've always avoided green wafers.
Hey,
I've always avoided green wafers.
I do too.
Yeah, they just don't look right. They look like Soylent Green. Hey, Egberto?
Yes, sir. Love it.
Do we have you? Oh.
Yes. Oh. Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Hey, can I get a minute here to rant?
Yes.
I am so disgusted with our government right now removing the Speaker of the House just because he decided to reach across the aisle and avert a government shutdown. The man loses his job. Now, how right is that? How polarized is that? Okay, you're going to help out the American people. We're going to fire you. What kind of garbage is this?
Corporate garbage.
I can't believe it. So my rant is over with, but I'm just totally disgusted about this. I mean, not that I'm a big McCarthy fan, because I'm not. But, it's like if the government shut down, we wouldn't be able to pay the soldiers. We wouldn't be able to pay the people who work for them. And they're going to have to go be furloughed or work without pay. And these slimy politicians fire this man for reaching out and making a deal and say, look, we got to stop this. And kudos to him. He was on television this morning saying, look, I stand by that decision. If I lose my job, so be it. That's the kind of moxie we need, not these slimy Florida representatives who are up there going, I'm going to fire him because he worked with people. Well, you know what? They need to fire you at the ballot box, and I hope they do. And now back to you, Egberto. My rant is done.
Well, thank you. Now, I love, there's a statement that Van Viver made, Jack Van Viver, that I want to take off. He said, they eliminate the poor and then say they have eliminated poverty. That is how the system runs. I mean, that little phrase right there says it all. In other words, we don't really solve problems. We paint over them because we don't want to put the effort in to solve the problem. So, Jack, out of everything that you said, I think that that one phrase encapsulated everything. With regards to Brother Howard, let me tell you, you would think that let me just say something about this good speaker that got removed. I don't like him either. But I mean, after he tacitly made the deal, he didn't go to Democrats and made a deal. What he did is he made sure that the piece of paper he came up with was a deal they couldn't refuse. And guess what? They didn't refuse it. They gave him legs. You're right about that, brother. They gave him legs. Only 126 Republicans supported what McCarthy did to keep the government open. Over 200 Democrats did. Here's the kicker. After Democrats saved the day for the speaker, in other words, to keep the government open, he goes on to CBS and he says it's the fault of the Democrats, as opposed to just keeping his mouth shut. Shut up. Don't say anything. Just say, I did what I had to do. Don't demonize those who made you whole. So what he's singing now on TV, where he says, I'll repeat and do what I did, that's a nice thing to say. That's a good thing to say. And that's an honorable thing to have done. But my God, you would have gotten 5 Democratic or the 6 Democratic votes you needed if you had just kept your mouth shut, because there are a lot of Democrats in areas where keeping him alive, they wouldn't have paid a price for doing that. But he goes out there and he played the MAGA role while he was in front of the cameras, while behind the scene doing something else. He shouldn't have done that. But I mean, he would have been alive. The Democrats were actually thinking about saving his butt. And instead, he went on CBS. He went on all these other on the spinner and said, "Oh, those evil Democrats," when it's the Republicans who sunk him. Amazing how things work. But today's story, title of the show, is Rule on Democratic Messaging. Buck sycophancy, Representative Buck, that is. GOP impeachment gaffe, and profits over progress. Stephanie Ruhle points out a flaw in the Democratic messaging. Ken Buck shows he's no less a sycophant than MAGA politicians, or I should have said than any other MAGA politician. Corporations profit over progress. GOP fails at impeachment attempt. Anyhow, beforehand, remember that you can reach us anytime at the dial 90.1 FM, but you can reach us as well on the application TuneIn. You can download from Android and Apple stores. You can reach us by going to kpft.org, click on listen. But while you're there, consider giving a contribution. Don't forget to select Politics Done Right as the program. We want to make sure that we stay funded. And, by the way, we had our producers meeting last night, and the hourly rate that we all have to raise is pretty high. So folks, start from now. Please go to that website. I think it starts next week, the fund drive. But please start going to that website now and start contributing. I make one pledge to you. You go ahead and get us over the top. That's so much less time we can spend fundraising during this hour, which is what I beg that we do. So you can actually start now. Just go ahead and make sure to put Politics Done Right so that we can make our quota. But for that whole fund drive, I have to raise pretty close to $5,000. So please help us get there quickly. Let's get there quickly. We can do it because we have thousands of listeners, hundreds of listeners that are willing, that have a few extra nickels to give. Anyhow, let's get to the program. You can also reach us at facebook.com/KPFT Houston, facebook.com/KPFT Houston. And don't forget, you can reach us on YouTube as well by going to what again? By going to politicsdoneright.tv. Do you have a beef you want to pick with me? Please, I love it. Drop me a line at kpft@politicsdoneright.com. Again, that is kpft@politicsdoneright.com. You can tell me anything, folks. I don't take anything personally. And not only that, I answer my emails respectfully, no matter what it is that you have to say. So if there are issues you want to discuss by email, please do so. Or you can call 713-526-5738, extension number 2. Extension number 2. We're here to serve. This is your program. As I say all the time, even though I come prepared with 3 or 4 subjects every day, we may not get to them because you may call in and we may have the discussion that you want to have, because this is your program, 713-526-5738. And in the event that we do not get to all the subjects that we intended to discuss today, you can always go to the newsletter that I send out every morning at 5 a.m. to everybody, several thousand people every morning. At 5 o'clock, it goes out, and you can read that as well at politicsdoneright.com/newsletter. All the clips and videos are right there for you to see, for you to check out if we don't get to it on the program, but it's always there no matter what. All right, it seems like Harry is very early on today, so let's go ahead and bring Harry into the fold. And you can start calling 713-526-5738. Come on in, Harry.
Well, Harry's been early on the last 3 days, and I'm going to have to talk to Steve later about Gavin Newsom. You wanted me to call him back on you talk, and I will elaborate on that. But I'm going to elaborate on Howard's rant. From what I've read about Kevin McCarthy and what I've been listening on the news, the Republicans obviously earlier this year did not want him to expand Medicaid and Medicare. He didn't want money. They didn't want money going on that, those far right Republicans, and they wanted Social Security cut. And then when he brought proceedings with this Hunter Biden situation with his legal troubles to try to impeach Joe Biden, I just think that pissed the Democrats off, and they just decided we have to get rid of Kevin McCarthy, because there was no evidence to prove that Joe Biden had anything to do with Hunter Biden's legal troubles and that it wasn't impeachable. So that's why they decided, well, Kevin McCarthy, you have to go. That's my opinion.
Okay, let me just make one thing, because the way it works in Congress, right? Every party picks their particular speaker, and if they have the option to get a speaker, that's what they do. So therefore, it is the Republicans' responsibility to keep their speaker, given that they have the majority, a slim one albeit, but it's their responsibility to elect their speakers. Not the Democrats in general will not vote for a speaker of the other party. That's just not how it works in Congress. In Congress,
I understand that.
Yeah, but let me finish, Harry, because this is important.
Go on.
Because let me tell you why it's important. A lot of people are going to go out. First of all, what Howard said was absolutely correct. It's the Republicans who removed him from power. Because, and here's the deal. It is right now, the spin is going to be that Democrats are the ones who removed the speaker, since it's only since it's only 8 Republicans who voted to oust them, while 200 plus Republicans decided to keep him. But that's not how it works. So therefore, what Democrats would love, if they get into disarray, that ultimately they can get a Democratic Speaker of the House. It's unlikely.
Exactly. This is political. There's no question about that. They want the Republicans in disarray because they're the one. They want to keep saying, look, the Republicans can't get anything done. So when 2024 rolls around, please, they're going to say, American people, please put us back in charge of the House. Vote those people out. Howard's always talking about. Vote these right-wing crackpots, and these people like Matt Gates who are extreme right and have these crazy ideas. Vote them out.
There you go. There you go, Harry. Hey, Harry. Let me tell you something. You are starting to be an orator. You are starting to become an orator. So we're going to call you. Whereas Johnny is the mayor of Politics Done Right, you are the orator of Politics Done Right. Okay, let's get to the subject. Thank you, my brother. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
Right, I wanted to say one other thing. So
Real
you like
quick.
my thing with Louis Farrakhan that I did with my Blacks in Government impression of Louis Farrakhan's speech yesterday.
Did I just call you the orator of Politics Done Right? Did I not call you that? That answers the question, sir.
Right. So are you gonna look at that? He did that on August 20th, 1989. Are you gonna look at that when you get a chance?
I saw that. I saw that already.
Oh, you did see that back? Yeah. You saw that back then?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
When it aired, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Like I said, I have my problems with the man. He says a lot of good things. But when Malcolm X was alive, he came out against Malcolm X because Malcolm X told the truth about Elijah Muhammad. And
got you. Hey, Harry, may I at least start the part of the program that I want to get in and sneak in?
Okay, I'll listen. I'll listen to the rest of the show.
Thank you, sir. All right. Let's get busy, my brothers and my sisters. The first topic I want to cover is that, and by the way, you can call. I just gave Harry a hard time because he was talking about the other stuff, and I want to get into some other things. But if you need to call in, give us a call at 713-526-5738, 713-526-5738. Now that the orator is listening, the title of there's an article that I read that I said yes. I wrote about this on dailycoast.com, but this is an article that came on Common Dreams. That when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, you nailed it exactly. Profits over progress, corporate sabotage at the heart of our nation's dysfunction. Now, whenever we discuss problems, we also want to have solutions. So I'm going to talk about that. But anyway, corporations have far too much power. But at the end of the day, we, the people, have more. That's what one needs to understand. We, the people, have more. It is now conventional wisdom that America is a divided country with bitter partisan splits over just about everything. It's undoubtedly true that Americans have divergent views on many important topics. You know, most of these topics are generally social, things like abortion or whether you support gay rights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, but on most issues, believe it or not, Americans agree. Going back to the story. But the narrative of a divided America obscures an equally important and rarely acknowledged truth. Americans agree on a great deal. Americans of all political stripes believe that big corporations have too much power and are weakening the nation. Corporations regularly rip us off with illegitimate fees, monopolistic pricing, and windfall profiteering. Americans agree this is wrong and government should end corporate ripoffs. If you doubt it, you take a look at all these advertising that corporations do. Oh, the price of this stuff is $29.99. The price of this is $49.99. And by the time you're done, it's $69.99. It's $80 because they advertise some false base fee, but they give you and add all these other fees that in their parlance are required. So you can't get the product without paying those fees. But they still advertise the products as less or services as less. That's ripoff. The price of the product must include those fees because, if you can't have the product without those fees, those aren't fees. That's a part of the price of the product. Corporations poison the air we breathe and water we drink, spreading asthma and other diseases. Americans agree this is wrong, and the government should protect our health and environment from polluters. And how do the government do that again? They are supposed to create regulations. but they have you believe in corporations do with your false advertising that regulations are bad. All regulations to them are bad because it makes the product more expensive. No, it really means because it means that as opposed to making ill-gained profits, they don't. Corporations crashed the economy in 2008, costing us trillions of dollars and throwing millions out of work and forcing millions of families out of their homes. Americans agreed this was wrong, and the executives responsible should be held accountable, and the big banks responsible should be broken up. But it doesn't happen. Why? Not because the American people don't want it, but because the politicians are paid off not to do what they need to do. Corporations gorge the public through gouging taxpayers by extracting a vast array of ill-advised subsidies, giveaways, guarantees, and other corporate welfare programs. Americans agree this is wrong, and the government should manage our public assets in the interest of the public. Yet, these are the same corporations that convince you that you are undeserving of good care. You are undeserving of child care. You are undeserving for those who corporations don't pay enough. You are undeserving of SNAP. You are undeserving of all these things. In fact, starting October 1st, student loans repayment begins, even though a lot of these student loans were gotten for educating folks who corporations will use. So corporations get the education you pay for free. And at the same time, they charge you interest for those loans that you take out to serve them. You know, it's all in how you articulate the issues, right? It's all in how you tell people things. Because you'll have those people that says they should be responsible for their loans. They took out those loans. It's their fault. But it's deeper than taking out the loans. It's their fault. It's that corporations used to pay enough money to the state so that your education could be gotten at a minimal cost, so that in effect your educational cost is shared between you and your corporations. You get benefit from getting a salary. The corporations get benefit from getting an educated populations to do the job, to make those shareholders profits, to make those executives a lot of money. It's not singular. It's a shared thing. But corporations would have you believe that they are doing you a favor. So get your education, pay for it, come work for us because we are giving you money. But I've sent your education, they have nothing. So therefore they should share in education. Now, Eric Hayes says, Egberto, did you pay off your student loans? I paid off every penny of my student loans. I'm an old man now, but yes, I paid off every penny of my student loans. Because I paid off my student loans, do I want to force those people that have taken out tens of thousands of dollars to pay off their student loans that they can't afford, when I know at the time that I went to school, in-state tuition was $4 an hour and $40, and out-of-state tuition and foreign tuition was $40 an hour in my days, and now it costs a whole lot more, even adjusted for inflation, because of all the subsidies and breaks we give to corporations? Do I say because I had to pay it, I don't want good things to happen to those that come after me? No, I don't. That is where we get rid of the selfish gene. We get rid of the self-hating gene. And it's not you paying for other people's loans. If we pay those loans off, the economy gets better and we all do better. We have to expand the way we think. Corporations pay workers too little, oppose raising the minimum wage, undermine union organization, and exposes workers to dangers. Americans agree on that. This is wrong, and the government should guarantee workers' rights. Americans agree corporate power is, in fact, out of control. It's not an exaggeration to say Americans are united around the idea of corporate power. For just a moment, let's dive into some of the details according to the article. By overwhelming margins, Americans favor steps to crack down on corporate abuses and protect regular people. For example, roughly 90%, listen to this, 90% of Americans want Medicare to negotiate drug prices. But if you look at the ads on TV, the corporations lie to you that controlling drug prices, bringing the prices of drugs down, will somehow stop innovation, will somehow stop those who invent these innovative products, these novel drugs would suddenly dry up. But that's not true, because they're not paying for these drugs anyway. Let's get clear about who really pays to develop drugs. When you pay your taxes that goes into research by the at universities, by the NIH, and all these other folks that give grants to develop these drugs, as in the mRNA drug as well, that now corporations are making a killing on. You did develop that, folks. Your tax dollars developed that, not the corporations. Let me tell you. Okay, Eric says, why is there amoxicillin shortages? Because corporations have failed, not because government has failed. We don't make amoxicillin. The private sector makes amoxicillin. So if there's a shortage of amoxicillin, Eric, go talk to the manufacturers of amoxicillin, who are the ones who have horrendous forecasts, who chose to make their drugs in places where it creates supply chain problems. Don't blame the government for that. Blame the corporations who claim that the private sector is more efficient. So therefore, who decided to make it in India and China? The corporations did, not the government. So therefore, Mr. Hayes, go ahead and put the blame where it belongs. The failure of the private sector because it wants to maximize profits for a few shareholders. That's where the problem lies. But you see, as Eric has been misled by our news media, right? What has happened? People, instead of blaming corporations for the ills when the prices go up, it's not Biden or the government that raised their prices. It's the corporations. How only a sick mind doesn't realize that when you go and the bread costs more, it's not Biden that did that. It's a bread maker that did that. When it's interesting, right? The price of bread is higher. The price of meat is higher. Guess who isn't making more money? The farmer isn't making more money. Where that wheat comes from, the farmer, you would think if there's more money being made on bread, that somehow the farmer makes more money. The farmer ain't making more money. It's all the middle people of the capitalist structure who decide you know what? Here's the deal. They decided that when we gave trillions of dollars to Americans to pump the economy up, that instead of making more products and being more efficient, they decided that, wait a minute, people have more money in their pockets. We can zoom up the prices, make more money per product, and then that turns into more money, more profits for the individual. That's why our system should tax it right back with a windfall to put it right back into the coffers of the United States. But again, the politicians are paid off not to do that. But let's continue. 7 in 10 Americans favor transitioning the economy from fossil fuels to 100% clean energy. Again, that's 7 in 10 Americans, 70%. 3/4 of Americans want stricter limits on smog, even given the false choice between environmental protection and economic growth. Voters overwhelmingly favor environmental protection. More than 4 in 5 favor banning single-use plastics. You know, that plastic that is in all over the sea and inside of the guts of many of the fish we eat? Yeah. Most Americans want those plastics regulated in such a manner that it can be reused and not all thrown into the ocean. By a greater than 2-to-1 margin, voters support empowering Americans to sue corporations directly when they violate federal regulations. Think about that. More than 3 in 4 Americans believe CEOs should be held accountable for the crimes of their companies, including being sent to jail, because there should be real consequence to corporate wrongdoing. But we have this stuff called corporate personhood, meaning a corporation is a human being. Actually, a corporation is a superhuman being, because they have unlimited power to donate to politicians, unlike you as a human being who have limits. Think about that, folks. And remember the word Citizens United. 8 in 10 Americans think the minimum wage is too low, and a strong majority favor raising it to $15 an hour. $15 is now too little. $15 is years back. It should now be at least $20 an hour. 4 in 5 Americans support a requirement for paid family leave and medical leave. Think about that. Most Americans, 4 in 5, that's 80% of Americans. 3/4 of Americans want the government to do more to protect online privacy. Over 2/3 of Americans favor increased taxes on corporations and the wealthy. Why? Because they understand that the wealthy are parasites. If you're sitting down on your pool and you make the statement, most of my money, if not all of the money I earn, is working for me. Something else, I'm sitting down, I'm doing nothing. I'm risking my capital, is what they say. I'm risking my capital, is what they say. So they're entitled to be rich, doing nothing, but they're risking their capital. What we don't realize is much of the capital that they're risking is ill-gain capital. Ill-gain capital. All the land in West Texas that was stolen, ill-gain capital. All the unpaid labor hours that we do every year by thousands of companies in this country, unearned income. But they say that they should pay less taxes on their capital gains because they are putting their capital at risk. But you know what? Every time you get onto the freeway to go to work, every time you take a bus to go to work, every time you are working at a machine, every time you are cutting the meat at the store, every time you are doing something to serve somebody else, you are putting your life at risk. So why should you have more agency? Why should they have more agency with politicians and in our tax system than you do? Because they risk their capital while you risk, when I say capital, I mean their money, etc. While you risk your life, your limb, your eyesight, your well-being, your lungs, everything else you risk. When you are in that coal mine digging and that rich guy who owns the mine profiteer from that, the fruits of your labor. And at the same time, that coal miner owner doesn't want the government to provide you Medicare for all to ensure that if you get sick from being in that mine, you're cared for. How many people drive every day in the smog created by the oil extracted by these Exxons and otherwise that gives you lung cancer, that gives you all these things that, by the way, I understand there are trade-offs, right? We want to burn the gas to move our cars. Yes, we want to do that. There are trade-offs, but the price of gas isn't, we look at it as being expensive, but it's a subsidy to the oil company. Why? Because they don't want to pay the health care for the damage these things cost. Again, yesterday I spent a little bit of time on Steve Hunter's show, and I said something that he kind of took aback with when I said a democracy requires an educated population, and I don't mean a college-educated population or a population with an advanced degree or something. I just mean a population that thinks critically. A population that thinks critically. One of the reasons you see the right trying to take away critical thinking, critical theories, critical way of doing things is that when you as a human being, when you as an American sit back and start thinking critically, you ask the critical questions. You ask, why do you sacrifice your life, limb, your lungs, and everything else for somebody who's sitting in an office and risking, in their parlance, capital that they really don't risk? and I'm going to back into that in a second. They don't risk anything. I've heard some right wingers come on TV and say, well, if you tax corporations too much and they're putting all this at risk, then they'll leave. Leave to go where? And not only that, but even the tax system favor, if they were to risk, even though they don't take many risks. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But remember this. Whenever a rich person who has stocks in various companies lose money on company A, when company B begins to make money, hear this out. When company B begins to make money, they don't pay taxes on the profits from company B until they write off the losses that they made on company A. So they never lose because they always have a company to recover the losses that they've made. But none of your taxes in the aggregate, note I said in the aggregate, you get some mortgage deduction, etc. But in the average, your taxes, you don't get those breaks. The rich gets all the breaks. They make money on your back. When they lose money claiming, well, the corporation that I supported didn't do well, they don't really lose that money because they write that off of the profits that they make somewhere else. So we always, the taxpayer, always subsidize the rich. It's never the other way around. Critical thinking. Assert our worth. We can only assert our worth if we understand and if we think critically. The reason why they don't want you to read books, the reason why they have you pissed off at things like abortion, have you pissed off at things like the border, have you pissed off at all these issues, it's to keep your eye off the ball. It's to prevent you from thinking critically. The people at the border, we need them. All those people that are voyaging through the Darien jungle in Panama to get to the United States, it's Venezuela's loss. We could use them right now. There is so much work to do in America. If we chose to do it, we could use those immigrants. We could process them fast enough if we wanted the most vibrant economy in the world. But you see, the wealthy needs issues otherwise. It's right there, folk. We are all brainwashed. Critical thinking. We have to get there. Because again, most of us agree on the things that we want. Most Americans agree on the things we want. All the other side issues that we fight about is to keeping us from fighting together for the things that we want. That's why I love all my brothers and sisters, MAGA brothers, liberal brothers, progressive brothers and sisters, liberal brothers and sisters, anarchist brothers and sisters, Trump-loving brothers and sisters, because we are in the same boat, folks. Don't let them have all these issues fooling us. We can't. Critical thinking is what they need us not to do. They don't want us to know our history. They want you to continue thinking about those other people being others when they are the ones who otherize the others so that they can create division to prevent us from working together. It's all in the plan. There is a paper that came out from Judge Lewis Powell, called the Powell Memo. It's a little bit of highfalutin language, the way he expressed things. But in effect, that paper says the following: Americans, the progressive movement is here and strong. It is making Americans too damn smart. So therefore, we must infiltrate the educational system, the media, the churches, and everywhere else. And we must put our spokespersons out there, and we must create foundations like the Heritage Foundation and the Cato Foundation, because we need to keep Americans We need to put them in their place. We need to stop the critical thinking. And to put it bluntly, they have been pretty damn effective because they use their money to create the Heritage Foundation. They use their money to create the Cato Institute. They use their money to create all these right-wing think tanks to make you dumb. Johnny, come on in.
Yeah, you want to talk about subsidizing the rich? Here's another irony, and I've mentioned this at least once or twice before, you and I. Mm-hmm. I don't like the way we do rescue packages and infrastructure, the way it's financed, the way it should be financed, because the Republicans love to preach on their high horse about we should pay as we go, and they're the most blatant liars and hypocrites. If we were to actually do what they want, which I want, is we would actually go to a progressive tax code like we had during Republican Dwight D. Eisenhower, but with no loopholes for the ultra wealthy. And then we would have all the kind of money we need to fill the coffers of the United States Treasury. And then when we need to do projects, we pay directly out of the Treasury instead of asking the banks and them to loan us the money that they didn't pay us in the first place, our employees. That's the irony. They don't pay people what they deserve, and then they hoard the money. They have money overflowing onto their domestic accounts and onto offshore accounts, and then they have the nerve to loan money to the American people for rescue packages.
You heard me, Johnny. Johnny, you heard me mention that yesterday when I said we cut taxes for the wealthy, then we borrow the money, in effect, the taxes that we cut right back from them, and then we give them interest. So they get from us cutting their taxes, they get a profit twice. They get the profit from the tax cut, and they get the profit from the constancy of the interest payments that we have. Right now, interest is close to 20-something% of our budget, 400 and something $billion that goes directly to wealthy people every single year. In other words, a transfer of wealth from you to them. Johnny, anything else before I jump to Art?
I didn't hear you yesterday. I wasn't feeling too good, but I'm glad you said that. I believe you. And I know exactly how you feel because we are simpatico. We are brothers from other mothers.
Yes, sir. Thank you for calling in, Senor Johnny, Mayor of Politics Done Right. Let's now go to Brother Art. And something happened to my media lights. They turned off. Wow. At the same time at that. Wow. Oh, we are having power problems here. We had a power failure, folks. My backup system is on right now, and I hope that you guys can still hear me. But there's a power failure here. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. All right. Okay, come on in, Art. I don't know how long the computers are going to stay up because we just had a power failure. But come on in.
So we have a local election coming up, right?
Yes.
I would say not dictating how to run your show, but if we could try to get closer to local elections, we have billionaires here in Houston that take advantage of people. Maybe if you put some time into that. I mean, there's a lot of gas here.
I got to tell you, I am glad you said that.
Hold on, let me finish. There's medical companies here, MD Anderson, they make billions off of us, off the insurance. I think that would be, keep it more local. That would be an improvement. And then also, there's, again, the mayor election is coming up. Let's try to get some of them, people on, male, female. I don't know all the people running, but sure some of them would benefit by being on either this show or any show with APFP. So that was my only comment.
All right, no problem. Let me just tell you, thank you for the commentary. I will add some local stuff into the programming. Now, I am my program is a national program, but you are correct. I will cover some local issues as try to insert some more local issues. Thank you very much, my brother. All right, let's go ahead and again, folks, control room. If we go down, it's because right now I'm working on battery backup power. So there's a possibility that we will go down.
I know.
Let's go to 281-739.
If you go down, Jack and I will take over for you.
Thank you.
We've got Moses here somewhere.
All right. Come on in.
Moses in here.
Yeah, Moses, come on in.
Yeah, Jack, go ahead and send Moses through.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, buenos días.
Buenos días, Moisés.
¿Cómo estás?
Bien, gracias, bien, gracias.
Okay, what I want to touch on this morning, as you were saying, is the falsification of the American economy pertaining to the consumer. What they have done to the American people is they said, go and take a loan, go and enslave yourself to us. And what the loan does, and they do it by the mortgages, they took us, in the old days, you could build a little log cabin and you didn't owe anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But they have taken that thing from us. They have taken the freedom of our thinking, and they have made us feel if we tie ourselves to a loan, we are doing something great, very great. And they have not taught us to begin from small, make sure you do not hang your hat where your hand cannot reach. So today you have people who don't have a job that can afford it and taking great loans to buy $1 million homes. And so you are always enslaved to the bank. Now, the second thing is the developers. What I see happening now is they're tearing down the homes, tearing down, neighborhoods. And next minute you see 2 or 3 big cages. I call them cages, those apartments. They begin to build all those cages, and then they put us in cages on the rent. And so then they begin to set up all of the policies, the rental policies, and this and that. And again, we are under the same slavery to the developer and to the financiers. All right.
Moses, go ahead. Real quick, I want to jump to Derek before the power goes.
Okay. So since you all are having a problem this morning, so definitely these are the 2 places that I'm seeing Americans need to begin to think for themselves. Learn to live in a hut if you can afford it, until you can save enough money on your own to be able to afford to build a house without having to go to the bank and say, please. And if Americans were able, the amount of money Americans are making, if they were taught how to save and how to control their money, they wouldn't have to go and ask a bank for a penny.
You're absolutely right, Moses. Thank you so kindly for that. Let's jump to Derek. Come on in, Derek, real quickly before we lose power.
Yes, I'm just bringing in a little fire here. Matt Gaetz and Taylor Greene made it clear that we are the devil, no doubt. But what I'm looking at, Alberto, is this here, brother, that how many Democrats voted with them? Could they be the undercover Dixiecrats that's posing to be Democrats within the ranks? I say let's look at it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Derek. And you nailed something that's important. We'll cover that at other times as well. Brian, come on in real quickly.
Yeah. What is the gross domestic product percentage of Norway?
I don't quite know, but I'm in on a per capita basis. It's really in like any other rich Western country.
Oh, really? It's 42% is taxes. That's their gross domestic product. 42% comes from taxes.
That's not a gross domestic product, sir. And when you calculate if you calculate what we pay in taxes plus what we are required to pay for healthcare plus what we are required to pay for something, we pay much more fixed costs than Norway. And the reason why is the excess goes in profits to private people. Again, you have to understand math. You must understand what's our fixed costs and not. So when people try to use use Norway as an example with America, it's not hard for me to debunk that they have much better allocation of their resources than we do. If you want the itemization, we can go there, Brian, do the research.
No, I did the research.
Evidently not, my dear brother.
No. Listen. Do the research yourself and look into it yourself.
Sir,
okay?
I just gave Brian, hold on. Stop. I just gave you the numbers, sir. I said, when you add, the problem is you're not comparing. When you look at their tax rates, it's higher. Absolutely so. But when you look at what we must have above and beyond what we pay in taxes, meaning insurances, etc., to survive in this country, it's a lot less efficient in the United States than it is in Norway. And if you want to know the reason why, it's not hard to figure that out, because the reason why is we are inefficient. Our inefficiency comes from profits that's made in healthcare and profits that are made in other places. It is that simple. It's a math answer, sir. It's not conjecture. It's not thought process. It's mathematical fact. It's that simple. Anything else?
No, okay. Are you going to let me answer?
I just gave you the answer.
No, you're not listening. You're not listening at all, do you? You're a closed-minded system.
No, sir. Let me just say this real clearly. There's nothing closed-minded about understanding math. Math, unlike choices of abortion or not, that's absolute. Math is absolute. And when you see what Americans pay in taxes, what Americans then have to pay in healthcare insurance and all the other insurances that's required, it's much more efficient the way the Norwegians do it, because there are a lot of basic services that come out of you from taxes that nobody officially makes a profit on. It's math. It is simple, and it's not up for debate, my brother. That's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be disrespectful or rude. It's just a statement of fact. All right. Anyway, folks, I'm surprised that our backup system lasted this long. We don't have the lights on, as you can see, those of you that are watching over the internet. But anyway, it seems like we have one other caller. Just go ahead and pass them on. Come on in, Ted.
Hello?
Yeah, come on in, Ted.
Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't know you were okay. You were hot and heavy with the anti-Norwegian guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
You had a caller that made a point that she was saying that we should save up all our money like they do in the third world and get a house. Speaking as someone with some education in business, that is very, very economically foolish. When you buy a house, build wealth. And that is one of the main reasons why there's a big disparity between minorities and white people, is because they were barred from buying houses. And if you're going to live somewhere and you have a choice, you can either pay rent and try and save up, or you can buy a house. Now, obviously, a lot of people overbuy.
Right. But Ted, let me just say one thing, okay? Because by the way, I own a house, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But let me tell you that I don't think that's what the caller said. That's not what Moses said. But let me go a little bit further. Welcome aboard, Roberto Luis. Let me go a little bit further. Buying a house isn't always advantageous. When you calculate taxes, when you calculate the mortgage, when you calculate the upkeep of the house that you don't pay for when you rent, sometimes, depending on what you do, a house can be a losing proposition. It all depends on how you do the finances. That's all. But I mean, you are absolutely correct that that homes were one of the ways in which wealth was built. It's not always true. It's mostly true. But by the way, that's not what the caller was saying. Moses was saying at all, though. But thank you, Ted. You gave me a chance to add some value. Let's go to Ray. Ray,
right.
thank you,
bye.
Ted. Ray, come on in. My power is still the backup power is still working. Come on in, Ray.
Yeah, yeah, Alberto. I just wanted to say real quick, that other caller that, kind of ruffled your feathers a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He could have a good day. But, this is an example of what happens when Americans, are fed the lie.
Right.
That it's a good idea to let the foxes run the hen house.
Right.
The hen houses of our society. And, it's so sad that we're so elitist in our thinking of a country that we can't even open our minds to see right above us in Canada to kill this healthcare debate, because they've had universal healthcare for decades, for centuries, for generations. They're a United Kingdom-based system. It's parliamentary, but still, we have our own system, but yet we still can't settle the one healthcare debate that they've had settled for generations, and yet we're better than Canada. You know what? If I want to say something as an American citizen that was born here, we need to do better, or we're going to always be Canada's basement.
Thank you, Ray. Ray, let me get to thank you so kindly for calling in from Third Wall. That's Brother Ray, part of the PDR posse. Thank you for calling, sir. Let me go to Donald real quick. Donald, come on in.
Good morning, Alberto.
Good morning. Make it quick before my power goes. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. What is one Mr. Egberto plus one Mrs. Egberto?
Ashley?
That would be 3. So 1 plus 1 is not always 3.
Oh, I got you. I got you. Donald, you won on that one. You go, my brother. You go, my brother. Well, look, we are at 56.
Have a good day.
Thank you, my brother. We are at 56, and my backup power is still holding. It gives Brother Howard and Brother Jack the chance to close out the show. Tell me how we end this baby.
Well, we end this baby by saying we're out, but we're not out yet because we haven't had Jack's wisdom. Jack?
Well, corporate government won't end the cheating. The people will have to end the cheating.
I love it. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right with a power fail, but we still made it on battery power. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And guess what? I am what? Out.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.